Why the why for me? Well, it actually comes with a lot of different pieces, right? I grew up, like everyone else probably, athlete, but my mother was a school teacher. And so I kind of grew up knowing that I would be in something that had to do with kids and sports. I didn't grow up with a Y. Actually, I couldn't go to the Y that was closest to me, but when I went to college, I needed to have an internship. And so I applied to the Y, the Jewish Community Center, Boys and Girls Club, Parks and Rec, and I ended up going to the Y for my internship for graduation. And so I started out as a youth worker in Asheville, North Carolina. I attended Mars Hill University and didn't know anything about the Y, but I worked with kids after school. I worked in a African American community, and we had a non-facility Y. We worked out of a church, and then after school programs, teen programs, sports, you name it, I did it for that semester. And after I graduated, the Y offered me a youth worker job. I made $5 an hour. I had benefits though, which was good. And I was over teen programming, and then I did some swim lessons and things of that nature. So that's really how I got started. But it was really around, I knew that I was going to be doing something with kids. And then the Y as an organization and its mission, I'm very fortunate. I get to mix my personal purpose with the organization that the mission of the Y and my personal purpose aligns great. And that's really helping people, being there for all, and see if I can make a positive difference in people's lives. I'm pretty lucky. I'm a faithful guy. I think everybody has a purpose, and if you can find it, it's not about work. And mine is helping people and treating people the way that I want to be treated, but helping people is kind of like my mission. And so the Y, again, is a perfect organization for me to live out my personal mission. And so it makes it easy for me to come to work every day. The Eric now, I never thought I would be at this stage when I came into the Y. Quite frankly, the Y I liked it, but it wasn't my end all. Actually, quite frankly, I thought I was going to go back home, become a school teacher, and be a coach. Once I started working for the Y, it was good. I had a good time, but I didn't grow up with the Y. And so I just started working and doing what I do, and opportunities just started happening, right? And so I became a director for the first time in New Haven, Connecticut, a youth director. And that particular one was probably one of the pivotal moments in my life, one of them, milestones. I went to New Haven, Connecticut. I grew up in the South, in Georgia. In the South, you're either black or white. There was no ethnicity, right? So I go there, you've got Puerto Rican, you got Irish, you got Italian, you got Jewish, you got everybody there. That opened my eyes to a whole different world from that perspective. And then I started working with inner city youth. And so it was another learning experience in terms of how that plays in a city that has some issues, especially young people, between gangs and things of that nature. And so I had a lot of success, and a lot of success primarily because relationships. I'm very comfortable in any scenario, any type of situation, and so I was able to build on my relationship building. But I've always been an active learner, so I would raise my hand when people would say, we need somebody to do this. And so the young Eric has always been somebody who's interested and inquisitive and wanting to do better, wanted to learn. And a lot of it has to do with what we're talking about today is I wanted to be an example, a good example for African Americans within the Y at that young age. Not thinking about being a trailblazer, but breaking stereotypes and just demonstrating through performance anybody can succeed, whatever level you are and where you're working. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure, I don't know, but Eric, myself, can't say I want to go out and be a trailblazer. I think you have to demonstrate through your values and be an example of leadership and breaking stereotypes. There are stereotypes that have come along with being a black man. And so I was cognizant of it, obviously, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't fall into that stereotype, that I could demonstrate I can be as good a leader as anyone given the opportunity. And it doesn't matter, all right? It doesn't matter who it is I have conversations with. It doesn't matter what neighborhood I go into. I think that being a example, a good example, is part of it. And then understanding, I think, reaching back. And so I'm not here because of Eric Mann. I'm here because of my mentors who helped me from the time I got involved from when I was a kid, starting with my mother and father, but being examples for me to look at and always looking, how do I learn? How do I continue to learn? And then how can I be whatever role model I can be? The thought of being a trailblazer is not something that I think about. I think about trying to be the best person, but also being an example for young people, anyone else, that we might have some obstacles, but we can succeed. It's not easy. It's difficult sometimes breaking down doors, but it's something that can be achieved. But you gotta have help. Gotta have people around you that you look up to as well. We're going to help you every step of the way. I'm still learning after 43 years in the why. So it's not. You have to be a lifelong learner and be willing to put in the work to be successful. Oh wow, we don't have enough time, I don't think. It started early. I mean, I think it's finding people you look up to. I mean, that's the one thing I would say. If you're going to have a mentor, hopefully there's someone that you look up to and that you aspire to be like them. But also people who want to help you, And so I probably have at any one time 10, 12 people that I'm being mentoring and all around the country, especially through the Y, because I've worked in 7 cities. And so I've gotten a lot out of it, and so I try to be the same resource to young staff, individuals who are looking to do the same thing. And so I believe it's critical, but the critical part is having good mentors and having someone you can look up to and respect when you're talking to you, and be willing to listen, because the best mentors are not telling you what you want to hear, they're telling you what you need to hear. And I grew up in Georgia, and from the time I can remember, my parents, my mother and father, instilled in me that don't let that get in your way. And in my hometown, I was the first black boy to get in the Little League program. I was the first African American quarterback. So I've been a first a lot, and so being taught and being talked about in terms of you can do what you want to, regardless of the obstacles that's in your way. And being black, racist, that's just part of it. And so all through my life, it's one of those things where it was about who I am and what I'm able to demonstrate and be an example and continue to work hard, even though, there are plenty of obstacles. And, you just have to deal with them. You have to deal with them and have faith that the opportunities will be there. You just need to take advantage of them, but also be aware that they're there. One of the things that I think has helped me is that, I see it, but there's other ways, there's different ways, and there's people that can help you. And but just give me that opportunity. If I can get in that door, I can demonstrate that I can do anything like anyone else and be as successful as in anyone else. So it's how I live. It's how you want to continue to be better, but you have to be, I would say, aware where there are a lot of people who don't want you to be successful, and you can't let that stop you. You have to figure out how to do it versus why not. You have to figure out how to do it versus why you can't do it. Well, it starts with a great group of volunteers that encouraged, they brought me to Jacksonville to be the CEO. And one of the first goals that they had was they wanted to replace the old Riverside YMCA. And so one of the things that I had done in other cities, whether it's Pittsburgh, Charlotte, Cincinnati, LA, is I knew how to grow the Y, but also had a lot of experience in building new Ys. And so this particular one, the challenge was Riverside was a older Y, but the best thing was the location. It was on the river, so that provided an opportunity. But I can tell you when we started talking about a new Y, and I came back with a $20 million, 72,000 square foot Y on the river, it raised a few eyebrows because that's a lot of money. That was a lot of money back then. It's a lot of money now. But during that process of talking to the community about capital, I talked to a lot of people about what the Y means to them, whether it was in the north side or the old Brooklyn area, Riverside, San Marco. I remember this conversation I had with the older black woman, and she was a member at the Riverside Y. And I asked her, why is this important? And she said, in Jacksonville, it's kind of, if you live on the water, that's a sign that you've made it. And I was like, that's interesting, because if you go around the rivers, the people who live on the water, whether it's ocean or the river, they have resources. And so she saw this as her ability to access and have her little piece of the river. And so this is one of probably our most diverse branch. Every kind of individual, whether it's working, you have a millionaire on a treadmill beside someone who might be working as a high school janitor or school teacher. And so it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And so that's really what the Y is about. It's an organization that is there for all. And when we say for all, we mean the entire community. And so this particular branch, in a lot of ways, represents what I hope Jacksonville will continue to be, is a welcoming city for everyone. And through equality, through access, but really getting to know someone who's different than you. And we do that at all of our branches. This particular branch has an unbelievable, let's say, culture of serving all in a way that you're just another member of the Y. And the relationships that have been built here over the years, not just now, this particular Y has been serving a very diverse community. And I think that's what we really want our city to represent as well. I'll go back to my beginning. I think that I'm lucky. I'm very lucky that I get to work in an organization that, if you think about it, is a compelling force for good. And I get to wake up every day and go out there knowing that what we do has a positive impact on our community, on the families, and makes Jacksonville a great place to live. And so why not be excited? I've been at it for 43 years, so I do love what I do. I think it's because I get to make a difference, a positive difference in the lives of so many people in so many different ways. And so it's exciting. I hope to, we have a staff team that's great. We have a volunteer team that's great. So it's not just me. It's really the people we attract to work with us. They have that same passion as well, and that's the beauty of working for a Y, because we're making a difference, a positive difference.